Maya Ellison disappeared in September of 2014, and at first, nothing about it seemed dramatic enough to become a mystery. She was 26, healthy, organized, and methodical, the kind of person who labeled storage boxes and sent her sister screenshots of bus tickets just in case. And when she arrived in northern British Columbia that late summer, she didn't arrive in a rush or in distress. She arrived the way people do when they believe they are making a sensible choice, renting a small basement room in Smithers, working part-time at a local animal clinic, telling coworkers she liked the quiet, telling her sister back in Ontario that the air felt different here, lighter, as if the forest absorbed noise before it could reach her. And when she talked about hiking, she talked about it casually, not as an escape or a challenge, but as something ordinary, something she'd done before, a short solo loop on Crown land that locals used all the time. No climbing gear required, no river crossings marked as dangerous, no warnings posted beyond the standard signs about weather and wildlife, and she prepared the way careful people do, packing light but not careless, bringing food for 4 days even though she planned 3, a printed topographic map folded and refolded until the creases softened, a small first aid kit, a headlamp with fresh batteries, a whistle, a cheap phone with spotty reception but a full charge, and she left her itinerary taped to her apartment wall in plain sight, a habit she'd picked up years earlier. And she texted her sister the night before she left, "Back Sunday night, don't worry if there's no signal." And on Saturday morning, she took a rideshare to the gravel access road, signed the trail log at 9:12 a.m. in neat block letters, shouldered her backpack, and walked into the trees without hesitation. And that moment, recorded in ink and time, would later become the fixed point everyone returned to, the last moment when her location was certain, because after that, the forest closed behind her the way forests do, quietly, without ceremony. And when Sunday night came and went with no message, no call, it didn't trigger alarm at first, because Maya had always been independent and signal was unreliable. But by Monday morning, her sister felt something tighten in her chest that she couldn't explain, a feeling that had nothing to do with logic and everything to do with familiarity. And when she called the RCMP and explained that her sister was overdue from a solo hike, the response was calm but immediate, because northern British Columbia has seen enough disappearances to know that waiting rarely helps. And by that afternoon, search and rescue volunteers were hiking in teams, helicopters cutting slow patterns above the canopy, dogs brought in to track scent from Maya's car and last known location. And the weather cooperated, which made the lack of results more unsettling, because visibility was good and conditions were stable, and still there was nothing. No discarded gear, no footprints beyond the expected trail impressions, no signs of a struggle or a fall. And when the dogs followed her scent to a shallow creek and then lost it abruptly on the opposite bank, investigators debated the possibilities in low voices, because a scent break like that could mean many things, none of them definitive. And they searched downstream, assuming she might have followed the water, then upstream, assuming she might have panicked and climbed. But the terrain was unforgiving and dense, and even with aerial support, the forest revealed only what it wanted to. And as days passed, the tone shifted subtly, from urgency to procedure, from hope to endurance. Volunteers rotated out exhausted, family members clung to rumors of sightings that went nowhere, and online speculation filled the silence with theories that sounded confident but meant nothing. And by day 6, the question of predators arose, though no blood or disturbed ground supported it. And by day 10, the word exposure entered the conversation, a term that sounded clinical but carried weight. And when 2 weeks passed with no sign of Maya Ellison, officials began using language designed to soften expectations, phrases like statistically unlikely and no further leads. And winter loomed early that year, snow creeping down the slopes, erasing subtle signs before they could be read. And the search was officially scaled back, not because they believed she was gone, but because they had exhausted what could be reasonably done. And her sister stood at the edge of the forest during the final day, watching volunteers pack up equipment, listening to the quiet return, feeling the wrongness of it all. Because nothing about Maya's life suggested she would simply vanish. She had no debts, no conflicts, no history of disappearing acts, and yet that was what the records now said, that on a mild September morning she had entered the woods and never come back. And as the seasons turned and the case file settled into a cabinet labeled inactive, the forest continued doing what it always does, growing, shifting, covering traces with needles and moss, until the idea that Maya might still be alive became something people stopped saying out loud, not because it was impossible, but because hope, like sound, doesn't travel far in trees. The day the mass exodus hit Technova became known internally as the Great Poach. 17 developers, 80% of the engineering muscle, handed in resignations within a 48-hour window. Slack went nuclear. Rick's emergency all-hands Zoom was a disaster. Screen frozen on his red face, voice cracking as he begged people to reconsider. Mike, his golden boy, was the first to go public, updated LinkedIn banner, excited to join Flowforge as head of engineering, with my company logo. Comments flooded. Congrats! Big move! Heard amazing things about the culture there. Rick saw it live, apparently screamed so loud his wife thought he was having a stroke. I didn't orchestrate a single dramatic moment. No group email, no join me speech. Just quiet, one-on-one coffees in cozy Capitol Hill spots, offers tailored to pain points. Jenna wanted full remote and fertility coverage. Done. Plus egg freezing stipend. Tom wanted equity that actually vested. Granted, 0.5% with 4-year cliff, but accelerated on performance. Diego, the quiet genius who'd been passed over twice, wanted to lead AI features. Made him director of ML, 180K base. Every offer 30 to 50% higher than Technova. Full health, including trans care for one dev, unlimited PTO, and, most importantly, no Rick. By Friday, Technova's flagship product, their bread-and-butter CRM integration, missed a critical client deadline. Servers crashed under unmaintained load. Clients emailed fury. Stock dipped another 12%. Board called emergency meeting. Rick tried counteroffers, desperate 20% raises, senior titles slapped on like Band-Aids. Too late. Doors closed behind my new team as they walked out for the last time. Flowforge's new office, a light-filled loft in Fremont with lake views, became home base. I rented the whole floor, put up a neon sign, build without bias. First all hands, pizza, champagne, non-alcoholic options, and a slide deck titled, Why We're Here. I played the clip, Rick's voice from my hidden recording. Women like you get pregnant. Gasps, then thunderous applause when I said, never again, not on my watch. Policies rolled out day 1. 12 months paid parental leave, any gender, adoption or surrogacy included. Fertility and transition fund up to $20,000. Mandatory unconscious bias training. Salary bands public on Notion. Culture wasn't a poster, it was code. Growth exploded. 500K MRR became 1.2 million in 4 months. Clients loved NovaFlow's new features, predictive burnout alerts, auto reallocation during leave. One VP at a major bank said, your tool planned my team's mat leave better than HR. Word spread. Series A, 15 million led by that same female fund. Valuation, 80 million. Media picked it up. TechCrunch headline. Ex-Technova dev poaches entire team after sexist snub. Builds unicorn contender. Comments. Queen behavior. Rick is cooked. But Rick wasn't done fighting. It started subtle. Anonymous Glassdoor reviews for Flowforge. Toxic feminist culture. CEO plays favorites with women. Fake, obvious, same IP block, poor grammar. Then recruiter spam. Headhunters offering my team real opportunities at double salary. Impossible numbers. One dev got a call. Rick Hargrove sends his regards. Says come back, no hard feelings. We laughed. Screenshotted everything. Escalation hit when Technova announced Nova Pro, a blatant ripoff. Same UI colors, similar features, even the predictive leave planner. Patent pending on mine, but they'd reverse-engineered the beta. Launched with fanfare, press release quoting Rick, innovative tools for modern teams, stability-focused. Translation, no pregnancy risks. Clients noticed. One emailed me. This looks exactly like yours. Switching to Flowforge for ethics. I lawyered up. IP attorney, shark in heels, filed for preliminary injunction. Evidence, screenshots of my old Technova permits mirrored in their code, plus whistleblower from remaining staff. Rick had ordered fork and tweak. Judge granted temp restraining order. Nova Pro pulled offline pending trial. Technova stock tanked 22% in a day. Rick went nuclear. Voicemail at 2 a.m. Sarah, you ungrateful bitch, I gave you your start. This sabotage ends now or I'll bury you. Saved it, forwarded to lawyer and EEOC. My old complaint, upgraded with new evidence of retaliation. Investigators swarmed Technova. Board panicked, put Rick on administrative leave. But the sweetest moment? The team reunion. 6 months post-poach, we threw a Flowforge family barbecue at my new house. A modest 4-bedroom I'd bought cash in Madison Park. Lake views, yard for cornhole. Everyone came. 17 poached devs plus new hires. Now 35 total. Kids running wild. 3 babies born since joining, all with paid leave. Partners grilling. Dogs everywhere. Jenna pulled me aside, eyes shiny. I was scared to have kids before. Now, trying next month. Because of you. Tom toasted. To Sarah, who didn't just leave, she built a lifeboat and saved us all. I looked around, laughter, clinking bottles, sunset over the water, and felt it. Not just revenge, victory. Real, earned, joyful victory. But Rick had one last card to play, and when it dropped, it changed everything again. The lawsuit landed like a bomb. Technova's parent company, some private equity vulture fund out of New York, filed first. Trade secret misappropriation, tortious interference with contracts, breach of fiduciary duty, $25 million demanded. Press release painted me as the disgruntled ex-employee who stole proprietary technology and sabotaged her former employer. Rick's quote? "We mentored Sarah, gave her every opportunity. This betrayal is heartbreaking." Heartbreaking. The man who told me women were promotion risks because of pregnancy. My lawyer, Vanessa Cho, Korean-American powerhouse who'd crushed big tech discrimination cases, laughed when she read it. "This is desperation," she said over Zoom. "Their non-competes are unenforceable in Washington. No trade secrets. You built NovaFlow from scratch post-exit. And interference? At-will employment state. We'll countersue for defamation, retaliation, and your EEOC claim." We did. 50 million counter, plus punitive. Media flipped overnight. Forbes, sexist boss's company sues female founder who poached team after discrimination. Hashtag build without bias trended. My inbox flooded. Solidarity messages, investment offers, speaking gigs. Rick went full scorched earth. He started a whisper campaign. Anonymous emails to my investors. Sarah's unstable. Rage quit after fair promotion decision. Fake Reddit threads on r/tech drama. Flowforge CEO doxed former boss's family. Deepfakes almost. AI voice clips of me threatening Rick. Sloppy, my laugh was wrong. One investor paused term sheet. Vanessa traced IPs. Technova servers. Subpoenaed. Rick's personal assistant cracked under deposition. He made me send them from coffee shops. Perjury charges threatened. Then the harassment escalated. My home address leaked on some incel forum, doxed with photos of my house. Pizzas ordered COD at 2 a.m. Swatting attempt. Cops showed up, guns drawn over fake hostage call. I installed ring cams, hired off-duty security. Jenna's tires slashed. Tom's dog poisoned. Thank God vets saved him. We documented everything. Police reports, timestamps. Vanessa added stalking to the suit. Board finally acted. Rick retired with a golden parachute. 5 million severance, NDA. Public statement, parting ways to pursue new opportunities. Translation, fired quietly to avoid more scandal. New interim CEO, a woman named Priya Patel from their East Coast office, reached out privately. "We want to settle. Drop the counters if you agree to mutual non-disparagement." Vanessa countered, 10 million settlement, public apology retracted, admission of no wrongdoing on my part. They blinked. 8 million wired within weeks. I split it. 2 million to early team as bonus. 1 million to Women's Tech Scholarship Fund in my name. Rest reinvested in Flowforge. But the real fireworks were the trial that never happened. We were prepping depots. Rick subpoenaed, sweating bullets. Day before his, anonymous package arrived at Vanessa's office. USB drive. Inside, emails. Hundreds. Rick to board? Sarah's too emotional. Hormones, probably. Rick to HR. Don't promote women 25 to 35. Liability. Rick to investors. Diversity hires dragging metrics. Need to clean house. Smoking guns. Source? Remaining Technova whistleblower. His old EA. Fed up after he threw her under the bus for the fake reviews. Vanessa filed emergency motion to amend complaint. Pattern of discrimination. Judge fast-tracked. Technova folded. Settlement jumped to 15 million. Full retraction and, sweetest part, forced diversity training company-wide with my scholarship fund overseeing curriculum. Flowforge soared. Series B, 100 million at $500 million valuation. Headcount, 80. New HQ, glass tower downtown. Rooftop deck, daycare on site. My insistence. Media crowned me the anti-bro CEO. Fortune cover, how one woman's revenge built a $500 million empire. Rick? Crickets. LinkedIn dormant. Last sighting, real estate license in Florida, selling condos to retirees. Karma's patient. But the story wasn't over, because while the lawsuit burned out, something personal ignited. 1 year post-settlement, I was at a Women in Tech gala, keynoting, red carpet, the works. Networking cocktail hour, I spotted him across the room. Alex Rivera. Tall, dark hair, sharp suit. CTO of a rival PM tool company we'd just acquired in a friendly deal. We'd met virtually during due diligence, flirty emails about code architecture. In person, sparks. He approached with champagne in hand. "Sarah Chen, your keynote wrecked me, in the best way." I laughed. "Alex Rivera, your migration script was poetry." We talked for hours. Shop, then life. Single, no kids, ex burned him with cheating. Understood ambition, understood boundaries. Date 1, coffee that turned dinner. Date 3, weekend in Napa. 6 months, keys to each other's places. He met the team, Jenna teased. Finally, someone who can keep up. He fit. No drama, no games. Supported Flowforge without jealousy. Celebrated my wins louder than his own. But Rick's shadow lingered one last time. 1 year after the wedding, our simple Bainbridge Island backyard affair with wildflowers, string lights, and 50 of our closest, life at Flowforge had hit warp speed. Market cap crested $12 billion post-IPO expansion. We'd acquired 3 competitors, including Alex's old firm, Fully Integrated, launched NovaFlow Enterprise for Fortune 100, and opened hubs in Singapore and Berlin. Team, 450 strong, 55% women, zero tolerance for bias. Our internal RIC Index dashboard tracked promotion equity in real time. I was 34, CEO of a juggernaut, married to my best friend, and pregnant. 8 weeks along. IVF, actually. After a year of someday kids talks, we went for it. Frozen embryos for my egg harvest, pre-company blow-up, ironically. Alex cried at the ultrasound, hand on my barely there bump. Our little coder, he whispered. Jenna, now VP Engineering and mom of 2, both on our 12-month leave policy, threw a surprise shower. Onesies printed with Future Flowforge CEO. The team toasted. Proof women build empires and families. Irony? Delicious. Rick's words, women get pregnant, poof, disrupted. Now my billboard. I announced it company-wide Slack. Excited to share. Baby Chen Rivera arriving July 2027. Taking full parental leave Q3. NovaFlow's leave predictor already has my schedule optimized. Team, you've got this. Hashtag build without bias. Emojis exploded. No panic. No who covers Sarah. Our tool auto-reallocated my sprints to Jenna and Diego. Seamless. But the full-circle bomb dropped at our annual all-hands gala. 1,000 employees. Seattle waterfront venue. Fairy horns in the distance. Skyline glittering. Keynote stage. Me, Alex, board. Doors open. Surprise guest announced. Richard Hargrove. Gasps rippled. Rick? Again? He walked on. Grayer, humbler suit, but eyes clear. Applause polite, wary. Mic in hand. Sarah invited me tonight, not for redemption theater, for truth. Invited? I hadn't. Alex squeezed my hand under the table, confusion mirrored. Rick continued. 3 years ago, I denied her a promotion because women get pregnant. I was wrong, sexist, small. She didn't sue, didn't burn the bridge. She built a rocket ship and poached my team to do it. That team, now your leadership. That rocket, this $12 billion company. Crowd silent. Therapy changed me. Consulting now. Diversity audits for firms like mine used to be. But Sarah, she didn't just win, she proved me obsolete. He turned to me. Hire me as advisor? Pro bono? Train your next gen on what not to do. Laughter broke tension. I stood, mic'd. Rick, no. But thank you for the villain origin story, and for showing up. Hugs from team. Rick nodded, teary, exited stage to standing ovation. Backstage truth, Priya Patel, Technova's turnaround CEO, hired post-me, orchestrated it. He reached out months ago, real change, wanted to make amends publicly. I connected dots. Alex, your call. I paused. Legacy wasn't grudges, it was proof systems change. 1 session, I said. Observe our bias training. No pay, NDA. Rick came next week, sat quietly as I led. Real quote from a real boss. Played the recording, his face ashen. Q&A, young devs grilled him. He answered raw, no deflection. Left changed more? Maybe. Baby news leaked, Forbes exclusive. Flowforge CEO pregnant after sexist snub. Women disrupt, we revolutionize. Stock jumped 15%. TED Talk invites tripled. Rick landed gig auditing a VC firm. First client, the one that passed on my seed round. Fast forward 6 months, labor at Swedish. Alex coaching. Jenna in the waiting room with team swag. July 15th, 2027. Elena Rivera Chen, 7 pounds 4 ounces. Dark hair like Alex, fighter's cry like mine. Rick sent flowers. Proof I was wrong. Congrats. Disrupt away. I framed the card next to his apology. Elena's first app, NovaFlow Baby Monitor Integration. AI Cry Analyzer, Leave Planner for new parents. Today, Elena is 6 months, crawling in our island home office. Alex, CPO, me, Executive Chair. Jenna, now CEO. Passing the torch. Flowforge, $50 billion unicorn herd leader. Rick, TEDx speaker. How I lost everything and learned. We email occasionally. Professional respect. Rick's original sin? Catalyst. Not disruption. Creation. From poof gone to empire mom. Women don't leave voids. We fill galaxies. 5 years after that fateful promotion meeting, everything had come full circle in ways I never could have scripted. Flowforge wasn't just a company anymore. It was an institution. Publicly traded, $12 billion market cap, 1,200 employees across 10 global offices. NovaFlow had evolved into an entire suite. Project management, HR integration, AI-driven talent retention, even a predictive mental health module that flagged burnout before it hit. Clients? Half the Fortune 500, plus governments and NGOs. We'd won every award that mattered. Fast Company Most Innovative, Times 100 Most Influential Companies, and, my personal favorite, Forbes #1 Best Workplace for Parents 3 years running. Alex and I married quietly on Bainbridge Island the summer after the IPO. No media circus, just 60 of our closest people, barefoot on the beach at sunset. Jenna officiated. She'd gotten ordained online for the occasion. I wore a simple silk slip dress that skimmed my still flat stomach. Alex in linen, grinning like an idiot the whole time. We wrote our own vows. Mine included, I promise to build with you, not despite you. His included, I promise to hold the ladder while you climb as high as you want. We both cried. The twins came 18 months later. Yes, twins. A boy and a girl. We named them Nova and Orion. Stars, new beginnings. Pregnancy was planned, announced internally with a company-wide email titled, CEO going on parental leave, here's how we planned for it. I took the full 6 months paid leave we'd baked into policy from day one. Alex took 4. The company didn't skip a beat. Jenna stepped up as interim CEO. Tom ran product. Our leadership bench was deep. Board meetings via Zoom with babies in laps. Revenue grew 38% that year. Rick watched from afar. He'd stayed in the diversity consulting space, small firm, corporate trainings, speaking gigs at second-tier conferences, respectable redemption arc, low-key. We never spoke again after Disrupt, but I saw his LinkedIn updates, posts about allyship, quotes from my keynotes, quiet support. Once he commented on a Flowforge announcement about our on-site daycare expansion. This is how it's done. Proud to have learned the hard way. I didn't like it, but I let it stand. The final twist came on the twins' 2nd birthday. We threw a big party at the house. Backyard blown up with bouncy castles, petting zoo, the whole toddler chaos package. Half the company showed up, kids everywhere. Jenna's daughter chasing Nova around with a plastic sword, Tom's twins tackling Orion in the grass, Alex manning the grill like a pro. Mid-party, the doorbell rang. I opened it to find a courier with a large wrapped package and an envelope. Card read, for Nova and Orion, from someone who learned late what really matters, R.H. Inside the package, 2 beautiful handmade wooden rocking horses, hand-carved, engraved with their names and birth dates. Quality craftsmanship, expensive, thoughtful. Second envelope, inside, a letter. Sarah and Alex, I won't intrude on your day, but I wanted the kids to have something from the man who once stood in your way. These horses were carved by a veteran-owned small business I mentor now, part of my attempt to pay forward what I took from others. I read about the twins' birth. Couldn't help but think back to that day in my office when I weaponized the idea of pregnancy against you. You turned that moment into a company that makes it possible for thousands of parents, mothers especially, to thrive without fear. I was wrong about everything. No ask here, no need for reply. Just know that on the days I doubt redemption is possible, I look at what you've built and remember it is. Wishing Nova and Orion, and you, lives full of joy, fairness, and people who lift them higher than I ever tried to hold you down. Signed, Rick. I stood there for a long minute, envelope in hand. Alex came up behind me, read over my shoulder. You okay? He asked quietly. I nodded. Yeah, I really am. We put the rocking horses in the playroom. The kids love them. Nova's is painted deep blue with silver stars, Orion's forest green with gold constellations. They ride them daily, laughing, racing each other across the hardwood. Sometimes when I watch them, I think about that 28-year-old version of me sitting in Rick's office, heart sinking, world narrowing. I think about the rage that fueled late nights coding in my tiny apartment, the fear when I quit without a net, the triumph of that first client, the terror of the lawsuit, the joy of the bell ringing. And I realized every bit of it was worth it. Not just the billions or the headlines or the awards, but this, a life where my daughter will never hear that her potential is limited by her biology, where my son will grow up knowing real strength looks like accountability and growth, where the man who once tried to diminish me sent handmade gifts to my children as a quiet act of amends. Flowforge isn't just software, it's proof. Proof that when someone tells you women get pregnant as a reason you can't lead, you don't shrink, you build, you hire, you grow. You win. And then, when you're standing at the top of the mountain you built from their doubt, you get to decide what grace looks like. I chose to let the rocking horses stay, because revenge isn't keeping the hate alive, it's outgrowing it completely, and teaching the next generation they never have to carry it in the first place. 10 years after that promotion meeting, the story finally closed in the most unexpected way. Flowforge had become a household name in tech. $50 billion market cap, 5,000 employees worldwide, spun out 3 successful subsidiaries. We went from a project management tool to the backbone of how modern companies work, AI that predicts team needs, seamless integration for global remote work, and, my proudest feature, the life events module that auto-adjusts workloads for parental leave, bereavement, illness, or any major life change without punishing the employee. No one at Flowforge ever had to hear women get pregnant as a reason not to advance, ever. Alex and I were still married, still solid. The twins, Nova and Orion, were now 8, wild, brilliant, kind. Nova coded her first app at 6, a simple game where the characters solved math problems to save planets. Orion was the storyteller, always writing comics about superheroes who fixed broken systems. We'd moved to a bigger property on Bainbridge, acres of forest, private beach access, a treehouse Alex built with the kids. Life was full, loud, and deeply happy. Rick Hargrove had stayed in his quiet redemption lane. His consulting firm grew modestly. He wrote a book called Blind Spots, A Leader's Reckoning that sold decently in business circles. He never name-dropped me, but anyone who knew the story knew. He spoke at mid-tier conferences about unconscious bias, always ending with, "I was the villain in someone's origin story. Don't be that person." Then, one spring morning in 2035, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. Subject, request from Rick Hargrove. I almost deleted it, but the preview line caught me. Speaking at your alma mater, hoping you might introduce me? Full message. Sarah, I've been invited to give the commencement address at UW's computer science graduation this year. The dean knows our history and thought it might carry weight if you introduced me. Briefly, your choice of words. No pressure. I understand if the answer is no. If yes, I'd be honored. If no, I'll still give the speech and tell them the truth about where I learned my hardest lessons. Either way, thank you for building the world my grandchildren will grow up in. Rick Hargrove. I sat with it for days. Alex and I talked it over on long walks. Jenna weighed in over wine. Do it. Own the narrative completely. The kids overheard and asked why I looked thoughtful. I told them a simplified version. Someone who was mean to Mama a long time ago wants to say sorry in front of a lot of people. Should Mama help him say it? Nova, ever the coder, said, if it helps more people not be mean, yes. Orion, ever the storyteller, added, and you get to write the beginning of his story this time. So I said yes. Graduation day was perfect Seattle spring. Sunny, cherry blossoms everywhere. I wore a simple navy dress. Alex and the twins sat front row with my parents. Rick waited backstage looking nervous in a modest suit. We shook hands, no hug. He said, thank you. I nodded. Make it count. My introduction was short. 10 years ago, the man about to speak denied me a promotion because, in his words, women get pregnant. That moment became the spark for Flowforge, a company that now employs thousands and serves millions, built on the belief that life events make us better, not less. He was wrong then. Today, he's here to tell you how he learned to be right. Please welcome Richard Hargrove. The crowd murmured, some gasps, some applause. Phones up. It went viral before he even reached the podium. Rick's speech was raw. He told the full story, no sugarcoating. The sexist comment, the lost team, the lawsuit, the therapy, the years of trying to make amends. He ended with, I spent decades climbing ladders built on excluding others. One woman refused to stay off the ladder. She built her own and invited the world up with her. Graduates, don't be the reason someone has to build their own ladder. Be the one who holds it steady while they climb. Standing ovation. Afterward, backstage, he approached with tears in his eyes. I meant every word. I nodded. I know, and it mattered. We shook hands again. This time it felt final. Later that night, the twins rode their rocking horses, the ones he'd sent years ago, while Alex and I watched from the porch. Nova looked up. Mama, is the mean man sorry now? I smiled. Yes, baby, he is. Orion grinned. Good, now he can be in the story as the one who learned. And just like that, the circle closed. Not with destruction, not with ongoing hate, but with growth, for everyone. Rick got his redemption, earned the hard way. I got my empire, my family, my peace. And the world got a better example of what happens when you choose to build instead of block. The end. For real this time.